Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's the middle of August, and that means raspberry season at my house. I hope you've been having a great summer. I hope you've been biking and hiking and just generally having a good time. I thought I'd do something a little different this week. I thought I'd show you how I make one of my favorite dishes that we use our raspberries for, and that's raspberry ice cream. For those of you who tune into my channel for biking and hiking and backpacking videos, don't worry, I've got a lot more of those coming up, including a little more thorough review of Julie's new e-bike, the Specialized Turbo 804. But for today, just a short video on how I make the raspberry ice cream, so enjoy. So my recipe for raspberry ice cream doesn't call for a lot of ingredients. Of course, the star of the show is raspberries, but it's basically sugar, milk, some flavorings, and also the one ingredient here you may or may not be familiar with is xanthan gum. This is a natural product. It's actually a thickener. The alcohols are optional. What they do is they suppress the freezing temperature. It makes it a little bit softer so that it's easier to scoop and store. If you don't want to have any flavor, you can use something that's flavorless like a vodka, or you can use any one of the numbers of different kinds of liqueurs or alcohols that would impart a different flavors. I think today we're going to use rum. That's a little bit different. Now, all the measurements I'm going to give today are going to be in grams, and I use a scale. And of course, not everything is going to be 100% accurate with this because the berries are going to vary in sweetness. Also, the number of berries you have. I have approximately 701 grams of raspberries. I'm going to process those raspberries today. I want mainly the juice and the flavor. I don't like the seeds. Well, let's start this process by washing these berries. We want to make sure to get any dirt off, and of course if there's any bugs. I'm just going to use cold water here and give them a good rinse. Next thing I'm going to do is add the berries to my food processor. And this is a Vitamix. The seeds are not a great thing to have in ice cream. Not only do they give it a bad texture, but they don't really taste very well either. Now I'm going to add just about 1/3 cup of water to this. It makes it easier to sieve it out if you have a little bit of liquid. Make sure that your blender is on its lowest speed. All you want to do is macerate this. You don't want to grind up the seeds. If you grind up the seeds, you're not going to like the flavor. Now here's the consistency. It's nice and loose, but there's still plenty of pulp in there. I have a strainer here. It's kind of a medium size. You'll know if the seeds go through it, you know that you've got too big of holes, and if it's too hard to pass the mixture through it, then you'll know they're too small. So what I have is just a rubber spatula here, and what I'll do is I'll just move it around and try and press down on it, and we're going to get as much as we can of this wonderful flavor and the fruit pulp through the strainer. And what we want to leave behind are the seeds. This is probably the most laborious part of this. It does take some time because what you're doing is you're squeezing the seeds against the mesh, trying to squeeze out as much of that flavor as you possibly can. Now, of course, you can make it easier for yourself if you add a little more water, but you have to keep in mind the more water you add to your mixture, the harder your ice cream is going to be. So you want to keep the water that you add to your berries down to a minimal. If your berries are pretty wet, you may not want to add any water to them at all. So that looks pretty good. And even though there's still some stuff clinging to the seeds, that's useful later. I'm going to show you how I use that. Let's take this out and take a look at what we have left down here. That's the liquid gold. Well, I'm just curious. Let's See what the weight of this extracted juice and pulp is. About 500 grams, which is perfect for our recipe. So we've rinsed out the blender container, and now we're going to add back the concentrated raspberry puree. We're going to add about a quarter teaspoon of salt, 120 grams of sugar. You could also use monk fruit if you want to keep the calories down. 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And for my alcohol today, I'm going to try a tablespoon of rum. And I have 1 can of evaporated milk. This is not the sweetened, just the regular evaporated milk. Now we have about 4 cups of total liquid at this time frame, and we're going to blend this on low. We don't want to blend it too fast because we don't want to put too much air in here. But the one thing we want to do is we want to get the sugar dissolved. Now when it comes to ice cream, one of the things is there's a fine line between too little air and too much air. So you're going to have to use your own judgment here. It's come up a little bit. It's whipped a little bit of air into the liquid. And what I'm going to add is xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is a little bit of a thickener. It's a natural product. You don't have to worry about that. I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon. And it really thickens things up, so I wait until I've got the sugar dissolved before I add the xanthan gum. And I keep it on low speed. And I'm not going to beat this very long, otherwise it'll whip way too much air in here. Now I'm going to make this in a Cuisinart ice cream maker. And these are pretty simple. This you store in your freezer. Now 4 cups will bring the liquid level just up to the level of the dasher, which is right here. You need some room for expansion because as this churns, it'll whip some air into the product. Now you can see how much this is expanded. Below it was as far down as the dasher. Now, this Cuisinart ice cream maker is only going to take it to a point of where it's about soft serve consistency. And to firm it up, we'll remove it from here, and then we'll stick it in the freezer for a couple hours. Now, this recipe is going to leave it a little bit tart. So if you like a much sweeter type of a dessert, and you can increase the sugar content. Let me give this a taste. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to put this in the freezer for a couple hours, and we'll pull it out later. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have, be sure to give me a thumbs up. And, you know, cooking videos may not be your thing. And if you're looking for biking and hiking and other outdoor videos, be sure to stay tuned. There will be a lot more of those coming this summer. Until next time, be safe, be kind, and pray for peace. I've got 223 grams of seeds that are left over. There's still lots of good flavor left there. So what I like to do is I like to add a couple cups of water. Now I'm not going to put this in the ice cream. This is going to become a juice that I'm just going to drink. So this is what I call my second pressing. All I want to do is I just want to get some juice to drink. No sense letting all that wonderful flavor go to waste. I'll just add a little monk fruit sweetener to this juice. And we're good to go.